All right, so heading over to the NFL, we had a nice little trade yesterday. Former NFL MVP and former quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons, Matt Ryan, got traded over to the Indianapolis Colts for just a third round pick. Like I said, this guy was the offensive rookie of the year. The offensive rookie of the year in 2008, NFL MVP in 2016. Helped take the Falcons to the Super Bowl in that same year. So with that said, Jay, does this make the Colts a contender now? Because Carson Wentz out the door. We didn't quite know what was going to go on in the quarterback room. And then they get a veteran and a veteran that still got a little game left in Matt Ryan. I kind of run a parallel with this and Phillip Rivers a little bit. I'll let you speak your part before I jump into that. But as of today, would you consider the Indianapolis Colts a contender now?
I think so. But I considered them a contender last year and a contender to a point the year before. I guess my problem with this is I don't think they got much better. And if they did get better, it's incrementally so. Matt Ryan's he'll be 37 years old. The last time he did anything notable was his MVP season. And seemingly since then, and not really that it's all his fault, but what have the Falcons done since 28-3? Nothing. So
they did lose Kyle Shanahan after that.
They did lose Kyle Shanahan, and then they lost Dan Quinn not long after that.
For obvious reasons.
And now they got Arthur. They got Arthur in there handling business. So I think the Colts are the team really they were last year. I think they'll still be pretty formidable. I think they still got a great chance. They still got a great chance for the division because Houston and Jacksonville, no, and Tennessee, we know who Tennessee is. Real solid team. Derrick Henry, and then you got the dude under center who they fooled him into paying a whole lot of money because he won a couple playoff games, literally riding on Derrick Henry's back. So with that said, Jay, so who's the best quarterback in this division then? I would say Indianapolis has the best quarterback. I would say Matt Ryan. I think some people would say Ryan Tannehill, but then again, I think that says more about the division and who's already in there than it says about Matt Ryan. That's a pretty weak division as far as quarterbacks go. That a 37-year-old who really hasn't done anything to speak of the past 3 or 4 years is the best quarterback now, and I think that's somewhat debatable. Some people probably would say Ryan Tannehill, but that's a weak division. And I think because of that, Indianapolis will be in the mix for the division. But beyond that, I don't see them as much of a threat as they were last year. Because I think the thing about it is Matt Ryan, I think he'll offer a little bit more stability and the maturity and some of the intangible things that Carson Wentz has been criticized for. But he's not going to offer anything as far as mobility and extending the play and that kind of thing. So I think the thing about it is, I think they'll be in a spot to where they're going to win about 8 to 10 games. That's where they'll be at, and that's probably enough to win the division, unless Mike Vrabel just keeps being a genius and just squeezing wins out of Ryan Tannehill. But I don't. When you talk about Super Bowl, I'm not looking at the Colts right now because I don't think Matt Ryan is quite as dynamic enough. Like you said, we said this a couple of days ago. I think when you talk about the AFC with what's going on with Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow and Russell Wilson and Justin Herbert and just all these for the most part young guns coming to get you, and they can the dual threat aspect. Matt Ryan's not bringing you that. So I think they're a little bit limited. I think they'll go. They're almost to a point. They're almost like Tennessee, to where they're going to run the football and have to play defense. And I think Matt Ryan. I trust him a little bit more than Ryan Tannehill. I just do because we have seen it. We have seen Matt Ryan at least go on a run and get to the Super Bowl. But a lot of the moves we've seen at the quarterback position, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. I mean, this move kind of pales in comparison to this. Even the Carson Wentz trade to Washington, like that gets my blood pumping a little bit more because Wentz is younger, and you still feel like, man, at least, I mean, his great season was. I mean, I know it feels like a long time ago, but you still like he could have some good years ahead of him. I'm not sure. I just don't feel the same way about Matt Ryan. And that's no knock on him at all. That's just the way it is and where he's at in his career. The interesting part of this is what the Falcons did after they traded him. Because you think about, okay, the Falcons traded Matt Ryan. Oh, it's over. Tear this thing down. And they need a full-scale rebuild. And then so they come out here and sign Marcus Mariota. And then that just had me confused. Like, I think what it means is that this quarterback class is piss poor beyond belief. When you're going back all the way back to the second overall pick from 2015, who got benched for Ryan Tannehill in his 5th season and has been the backup quarterback to Derek Carr for 2 years, that tells you how weak the quarterback class is. I think that's what it says.
Hey, man, you ain't got to be so disrespectful to Derek Carr. But I was going to say, could this still be considered a rebuild? I mean, Marcus Mariota ain't going to take you nowhere, so you can still rebuild. I mean, the only player that the Falcons got left that's really make you, really turn your wheels is Kyle Pitts. Because you can't even count Calvin Ridley because he ain't even playing next season. So Kyle Pitts is all you really got. You could still consider this a rebuild depending on what else they do.
I think so, but I like it. What are you doing? What are you doing with Mariota? Like, are you rebuilding with Mariota, or are they still going to draft somebody? He's going to be a bridge. The Mariota thing just throws me off. I don't quite get it.
The fact that they signed him to 2 years, you can throw Mariota out there, get you another good pick for next year's draft, because I don't blame you for not getting a quarterback in this draft. And then next year, because you're going to be at the bottom of the league, you draft your quarterback then and say, hey, Mariota, thank you for the bridge. We're going to holler at you.
So you think they'll be bad regardless? Because the thing about Mariota, and I agree, but the thing about Mariota is, for all of his his career has been pretty lackluster, but he does have about around a 500 record as a starter, and he's got familiarity with Arthur Smith from their time in Tennessee. So I'm not sure if Tennessee's like out here just. That's why I think I don't get it. They don't see, like, they traded Matt Ryan. They're moving forward with a younger quarterback, but it feels like the in-between game. Like, it doesn't feel like a full scale press the reset button, like we're just starting completely over. It feels like they're in between, and I'm not sure. Like, I mean, I think Marcus Mariota, if he plays, he might be good enough to be too good to where they're going to miss out on a good quarterback in years where the crop isn't so lackluster,
Well, let me tell you 2 things about Marcus Mariota. 1, he injury prone, so don't depend on him to finish the season. 2,
that is true.
Anytime you get tape on Marcus Mariota, he'll hit you. Like, listen, first 2 games of the season, he probably do something spectacular. I ain't even gonna lie. You're gonna be like, oh, Marcus Mariota, he didn't fall the spark with the Falcons. Rest of the season flatline. Because once you get tape on Marcus Mariota, that's it. That's why he lost his job to Ryan Tannehill, and he was in the abyss for all this time. Because people start catching up. And Marcus Mariota, one of them dudes, he's exciting. Like, if he comes in and replace a quarterback, oh, yeah, you probably win that game. But when you sit there and actually study that tape and say Marcus Mariota going to be the starter, he's a totally different guy. I just think this is just the Falcons trying to throw Arthur Smith a bone and just be like, listen, we'll go get your old quarterback. You know, I know we ain't left you with a whole lot, so there go your old quarterback.
But speaking of that, because this is one of the things I was thinking of today. Speaking of throwing, who we gonna throw the ball to besides Kyle Pitts?
Exactly.
Cordell Patterson. I guess he'll be doing everything. You
had Russell Gage, but you let him go to Tampa Bay. That's my point. That is my point right there. Is this team? Who they gonna ain't beat nobody in their division. Like, this is why I say they're gonna be bad enough where you let Mariota do this. You just kind of punt on a quarterback in this draft because you just don't believe in them. Get whatever you're gonna get in this draft, and then next year when you got like Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud and like all these other cats coming out next year that's worth a squeeze, then you just go get one of them and you're like, all right, plan executed. Now let's keep moving. But I'm sorry, man. This is a dead duck. Arthur Smith, I hope in his contract this year is like null and void because if this season count, he won't be there much longer because it's gonna be bad this year.
How much? Yeah. How does this do anything for you as far as the Colts with Matt Ryan?
Yes, I was gonna get to that. I just had to, let you know how I felt about Mariota. Matt Ryan. I'm gonna tell you like this. You made a lot of cases about what Matt Ryan been since 28-3. But like I say, I say this, I'm screening this from the top of the rooftops. Kyle Shanahan leaving changed that whole dynamic of that organization. The minute he left, that team was no longer the team we seen in the Super Bowl. And Dan Quinn was good at doing his defense thing and managing people, but we can tell right now he didn't know a lick about how to get that offense back on the road. That was all Kyle Shanahan. On top of that, right, I think you got to give Matt Ryan more credit. I'm looking at him. He only missed 3 games as a Falcon. And how long was he the starting quarterback? 14 seasons? He only missed 3 games? Like, I think that matters. Why do I think that matters? Because the team he going to got a top 3 offensive line. It's a top 3 offensive line he going to in the Colts. So what that tells me is, one, he could get protected more. He could, and I feel like a quarterback that feels like they're protected is more willing to make bigger plays. Now, I'm gonna press play on that because then we got to talk about the playmakers. But not only that, has he had a running back with the Falcons better than Jonathan Taylor right now?
Oh, no.
So now he got a teammate back there that's going to take some stress off of him. Now, to your age part, and I'm surprised you even threw out the age because Tom Brady didn't change that whole dynamic. Like when it comes to quarterback and age now, what they say, age ain't nothing but a number. Yo, these no matter how old these quarterbacks is, as long as they got game, they're gonna play, right? And then we're talking about a division that he can really win. Even with Tennessee doing their thing, the Colts can still win this division. They should have won this division last year. What happened, happened. Now, my next thing is Matt Ryan, for everything that we say about him, this dude he's a professional. And I think one of the biggest things about Carson Wentz that didn't allow Carson Wentz to fully grasp his capabilities of taking his team to the next level was he didn't want to be an outspoken leader. He kind of was passive. Matt Ryan ain't coming here for none of that. Veteran quarterback, former MVP. What they going? Listen, he gonna come now, just start doing this thing, get that C on his chest. Let's ride, baby, and that's gonna be that. So I think Matt Ryan. I don't think you're giving Matt Ryan enough credit. I think Matt Ryan does really got a chance to come here and make some noise. Now, when I say contender, I'm saying I'm a Super Bowl. Nah, I'm good on Super Bowl contender. But I mean, they could make some noise in the playoffs, divisional round. It's a little hard to say AFC Championship game because you said it. Like it's a gauntlet row of young killers out here. Gauntlet row of young thoroughbred quarterbacks. I got to stop saying that killer thing for somebody to think they actually out here killing people. But it's some young guns in his conference that he gonna have to deal with. But at the end of the day, you giving Matt Ryan the best offensive line he probably had in his career, the best running back he had in his career. Oh, by the way, I also say this is probably gonna be the best defense he'd have had in his career. Because you talk about them young guns, but they don't play Matt Ryan. They play that defense. That's Darius Leonard's job. That's what he's going to be going against, those young quarterbacks. Matt Ryan got to be able to move the ball against those other defenses. So I think, honestly, Matt Ryan got a good chance definitely a good chance to win this division, win a game or two in the playoffs, and then Frank Wright got to decide what he's going to do. And for Frank Wright, this being his 5th quarterback, and probably Phillip Rivers was the oldest quarterback, but probably another quarterback that he can talk different to, you know what I'm saying, be a little more laid back, a veteran that knows what's going on. He don't have to coach to the T because they've been around, so he can, focus on other things. I don't know, man. I'm looking at the Colts as like a divisional, win one game, win a wild card game, and then get in the divisional round. See what happened now, man. But I don't think you give Matt Ryan enough credit, man.